Now let's look at UEFA, right? What kind of punishments do you think are in store? Do you think there's going to
Oh
be
yeah,
any punishments? Do you
it
think
is
there should be
interesting.
any
Yeah,
punishments?
yeah. They're definitely gonna punish them. I think already. I mean, since they're pulling out of the contracts, already have to pay the money. For pulling out the contracts. So Perez is already. He already talked about that. He's like, yeah, we haven't received anything yet, but if they're gonna be pulling out, they have to pay.
Hmm.
So they're already getting a punishment from the Super League by pulling out the contract. But I think UEFA will also be punishing them. I think that's why we already had some resignations. Andrea
Oh,
Agnelli resigned. Ed Woodward from Manchester United, the co-director, he resigned. Uh,
I want Kroenke out so bad.
yeah, Fenway
Yeah, so
Fenway Sports.
I think so. First thing, I personally think, like, some people say, oh, there should be a point reduction. But to me, the reason why I disagree with that is because if the players and the manager knew about it, I think they should get a point reduction. But to me, they had no idea this was happening. And I had no idea this was gonna happen. This came out of the blue. It was like Sunday or Monday or yes, was it Sunday? Sunday,
Edward, I see the point you're making though, but like, and we'll go back to you on it after because I know you weren't finished. But what's the other alternative? Like a few years banned from the Champions League. That serves the same purpose. You're punishing players and managers and fans who
Exactly.
didn't play a role in this, right? They work so hard. That's what they train for. And you can't do a fine either because these are such mega bucks, multi-billion-dollar companies. A fine doesn't matter to them. If you make them pay 700,000 euros, a player's making that in 2 weeks. Who cares? If you make him pay 5 million euros, after a while, they've got 5 million euros in like one stock in an entire portfolio with 100 stocks, right? So fines aren't going to do it, and relegations aren't fair. Point deductions aren't fair. Champions League barring isn't fair. What do? You punish just the owners, but that doesn't punish. Like, maybe that doesn't. Who someone else? They're just going to sell the club to someone else who maybe doesn't care. So this is where the dilemma comes in, right? And also, what you can't do is you can't just like keep the players from playing, and obviously, like, you can't just make them like, oh yeah, rejoin in the bottom, like rejoin in the league system, right? Or like if it's United, oh, tell United to join the championship. One, it's not fair argument, but also like European Court of Justice probably isn't going to let them do that because then that's UEFA looking like you're doing power of monopoly in international competition stuff, right? So it's so hard. Like, what's right? What's correct when thinking about the kind of punishments? But yeah, Edward, and then we'll go back to you on it.
yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is, I don't think that should be the first solution. I
Hmm.
think in my opinion, I think the solution is the owner should sell, and I want the 50+1 rule as soon as
Okay.
possible. So that's what
Yeah.
I want. I don't think, yeah, I did talk about it to other people. I was like, I don't think the points reduction is fair, and I don't think that should be the first option because the players and the manager weren't involved. And I know that that happened to like QP or some other teams who had it, and they weren't involved. So like, yeah. But this one is, I think it's a super. I think it's yeah. I think it's different in this case that a club will just, or an owner will be like, hey, this helps our financial. Let's just do it. Let's not think about our fans and stuff. So I think that the owner should, and that's my proposal, is doing like the owner should sell. If not, then you
The
just gonna
change in
keep paying
ownership.
fines.
Right.
You're going to keep paying the fine until you sell your club.
Okay.
And the 50+1 rule should be implemented because, yeah, I think like soccer is built by fans. It's not built by owners. It's not built by, I guess, by players, but like, but the fans grow with
Yeah.
the
It's
club.
not
And
it's not built by their investment portfolios. Yeah.
yeah,
I get
so
it.
so so I think that's, should there be first process? Hey, let's try to get this 50+1 rule.
Right.
And I think like that happens like, and with other leagues too. Now it's like kind of diminished. Like, oh, PSG always win in the Farmers League. No, 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 no. Let's not talk about like PS, like not league on like that. Right now, like Leo is first, but like they're doing that, but it's not like PSG is dominating as much. And I think they should try to implement the 50, like all the major countries should implement the 50+1 rule. And and it sucks for other teams who are not as financially like
Able, yeah.
able
Yeah.
or like higher like the Portuguese league, like or the Netherlands, like IS used to be one of the most fun teams, but they had to like sell players because like these these players want to play in the more bigger competition where people will watch more. So like
Right.
it kind of sucks, but that's part of the pyramid. I mean, it's so understandable. I mean, you start out with your current like academy and you want to grow. You could stay if you want, and some players do that. So like there's no problem with that. I think a perfect example right now is that kind of like if Harry Kane, like he wants it clearly shows that he wants to be like he's been like the last time the Spurs won a trophy was I don't remember. That's the part. Like I don't even remember when like Tottenham won a trophy.
They only
And I
won one League Cup in the past 30 years.
exactly. So like so that's the thing. If it doesn't work out, then you just move. And I mean that happens to the NBA too. Like you know, and I think NBA has their own issues too, but it's not as
Right.
worse than soccer right now with this like joining like big teams just trying to join to a different league. So I'm just glad that it wasn't officially a pros and like
Yeah.
and yeah, I just feel like I think the only two teams right now is Real Madrid and Barca who's still technically in they didn't officially pulled out yet. Is that correct?
I think
And
Barca. I think
Juventus?
Barca said they pulled out on Twitter, but I'm not sure.
Okay,
I don't
but
think they haven't yet. They
Oh,
actually,
okay.
I think they said something where they said it would be a big historical error if they pulled out of this
Huh.
Super League.
Interesting. Anyways,
But
Ahmed,
you
what were
also,
you what were you saying earlier about Red Sox group? I remember.
oh yeah, and I was gonna say, Fenway Sports Group, they actually received a bid to buy it from someone to buy Liverpool, and they
Hmm.
rejected it. So yeah,
Interesting. Really.
yeah,
Okay. Maybe Edwards' proposition of continued fines until they sell would be a better incentive for them to really make something happen, even if the fans are hounding their every turn.
it's tough. It's tough to touch the owners. The richer you are, I think you touched on that. You said the richer you are, the more untouchable you are. So it's kind of hard to really get these owners to obey obey the rules. So without hurting the fans, obviously. You know.
yeah, it's from what I heard right now with Arsenal is they're like a Spotify CEO is trying to buy Arsenal right now, and I'm like, it doesn't involve anything. Like, yeah, I see like these jokes from Manchester United, like, oh, Conor McGregor's going to buy it. I'm like, no, that's not the whole point. Like, I think it should be like a stable owner. Like, of course, like other owners who own other like investment will buy it. But I think, yeah, but my first thing it should be the 50+1 should be implemented
Right.
in the Premier League right now because yeah,
Exactly. That's the only
that
reason.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, the 50+1 rule is the only reason we talk about these German super clubs that didn't join, that are better than half of the super teams in the 15 clubs that were proposed to be in the European Super League, and the other super team that wasn't in it was PSG, but that was driven by self-interest. It's because I think
Mm-hmm.
one of their owners or one of the chairmen owns rights to the BN Sports, and BN Sports has a deal with UEFA Champions League. So a European Super League would be, it would kind of hurt how many viewers it would get in the UEFA Champions League. So it's either 50+1 rule or self-interest that was causing these big big groups, I guess. We're talking about PSG, we're talking about governments, we're talking about clubs that were against the Super League. That's why it's mostly self-interest. So I think if we didn't have that on our side, on the fan side, then it would be harder to reject the Super League, and that's why we desperately need the fans to have the voice, because
Yeah.
this will just happen again and again. It was almost close to happening, and it'll continue to happen. Maybe not now, but in 10 years, 20 years, there'll be another opportunity for these guys.
Right.
And also, I think PSG is owned by one of the Qatar, which the World Cup is going to happen. So like that kind of held them back too. So like what you said, self-interest. Like I think what you said, the beIN Sports, and also like I think Qatar, which is like that's the biggest one with the like the World Cup. So like they don't want to lose that ownership too. So like, but the problem is that once that is Qatar or the beIN Sports is over, then they're like, oh, so what should we do? Like the only way is now to join the thing, which like that would infuriate PSG fans. So yeah, so PSG is not like the best, but yeah. So I guess like pretty much the 50+1 clubs like uh Bayern and Dortmund and Leipzig, but Leipzig is pretty interesting because they're owned by Red Bull, but
Yeah, there's some
pretty
shenanigans there. There's a lot of politics behind that I don't think we have time to get into in this episode. But yeah, I totally see where you're going with this.
All right. Well, that seems like a good place to stop. I mean, we talked about a lot of things, definitely split up some of these segments, but it was great to hear from all of you, and we'll hope to see you soon. Just staying updated with the Premier League, with all the stuff going on in the football world, and then connecting that back to reality and comparing and contrasting all these different leagues, because we love to cover everything all together here at M2M. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel, the M2M Network, for more sports and entertainment content.